Howdy, folks. Sumner Healy from the landpioneer.com. And today we've got a gorgeous 40-acre wooded ranch. This property is zoned for agriculture. It's just north of St. John's, Arizona. It's a pretty special property, honestly. So I wanted to take the time, give you a bit of a breakdown on this lot. We just put it up on the website about 2 days ago. This one's got really flexible financing terms, some of the best terms that I've seen in all of Apache County. This property can be financed for $5,600 down, $562 a month for 60 months, or discounted cash price on this one's listed at $32,500. Now, if you're familiar with the St. John's area, familiar with Apache County, there's a lot of like 32-acre to 40-acre properties. Most of them were subdivided a couple of decades ago, and they're usually included with like an HOA attached to them or a POA attached to them. Not the case for this property. Property is not a part of an HOA. Property is not a part of a POA. And this property is zoned agriculture. You can see here's a lot on the GIS website. So here's the zoning breakdown. The zoning out here for agriculture gives you a ton of flexibility in terms of what you can do on the land. So obviously you can have crops out here. A lot of people want to have like horse properties. They might want to run cattle, sheep, goats, hogs, poultry, you name it. You can do it on this property. So an ideal horse property or an ideal property for just, setting up your own ranch, setting up your own farm. You can have some commercial uses on the property with that zoning. Typically what we find is that agricultural zoning is really sought after, right? And it's pretty rare nowadays that you find property that's not in an HOA, it's not in a POA, and it's not zoned residential, right? And this is one of the most common requests that we get. So I'm going to include this here in the link for the property. I'll also put it in the description for the YouTube video to get a full breakdown on everything that you're looking at in terms of what you can do on the land with this zoning. So the couple things, you can have guest accommodation, so you can have multiple home sites on the property. You can have one single family dwelling or one modular home per parcel, and then you can have guest houses on top of that as well. Guest ranches on parcels having an area not less than 10 acres with only one principal dwelling unit or service area provided, blah, 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 blah. Goes on and on and on. But essentially, you can have one main unit, and then you can have an additional unit, kind of like an ADU is what we would call it. Then you can also have modular homes if mobile homes are approved on the property. So really flexible zoning out here. Something that we get a lot of folks asking us is, hey, can I have a mobile home? Can I have a modular home? For some of these properties in Apache County, it's typically not the case. Luckily, this one you can. So this property is just north of St. John's, right by the Petrified National Forest. You're about 38 miles out from St. John's. I'll show that to you here on the map. So you go north on the 191, and then once you get up here, you'll see on the 191, actually this really nice graded dirt road heading out to the property. Now, the roads by the property are still pretty good, but you got to understand that these are not maintained by a POA. They're not maintained by an HOA. You do get some mild levels of traffic. People do live out here. People do drive on them. But you want to be mindful of the fact that these aren't going to be highly maintained roads. And so it's something to consider in terms of vehicle choice. Also something to consider just in terms of lifestyle, right? If you do get a really big rain season in the spring or at the tail end of winter, it can certainly damage some of these roads, and it's something to be mindful of. And so this is really an ideal kind of off-grid property. What you'll see out here is there's no utilities, right? And that's going to be pretty common for a lot of these more rural lots in northern Arizona, or really for a lot of the lots that we just list on our website. And a lot of instances, if you kind of want that open-ended zoning, you want low restrictions, well, you typically are going to take a hit in terms of having access to utilities, right? So out here, what the ideal setup would be is typically for shorter term living, I would say a generator is going to be ideal, maybe like a water catchment system or a water holding tank. If you're looking to develop and live out here on a more permanent basis, solar is going to be ideal. You're going to have actually a ton of just sunlight out here that you can capture. And so if you've got the batteries to store it in, Solar is ideal. Then you'd be looking at septics. Now, a lot of folks out here also like to own land just for like a recreational use case. This is a great property to do that. Tons of hunting in the area. And because it's not a part of the HOA, it's not a part of the POA, you can hunt on your own land out here, which is something that we get tons of questions on, right? So we've got other properties that are in POAs, and unfortunately, it's typically a restriction. There's also a lot of open space, kind of BLM land that you can hunt on out in Apache County. Some really good hunting out here. One of the things that you got to be mindful of is this is a higher elevation area, right? A lot of these properties are going to be sitting up 4,000 feet, 5,000 feet. And so you're going to get a little bit of snow. You'll actually see it on this image here, a little bit of snow. You're also going to have pinyon pines out in the property. And so this property is really stunning in that sense. It's got that kind of high desert look and feel with pinyon trees on the property. So yeah, that's really giving you guys a pretty good high level breakdown. One of the things that you'll see kind of running in the background here is some drone footage that we just had taken of the property. This was taken just a week ago. So today is the 20th of January. So it was taken last week. Now taxes on this property are incredibly low. For a 40-acre lot, looking at $64.28 per year, which is fantastic. And ultimately, I think when anyone's making a purchase of this size, I always recommend, hey, you know what, head out to the property beforehand. You're more than welcome to go view the lot. If you guys ever need directions, you can always get in contact with us, and we'll send over a full breakdown on how to get to the property. If you're familiar with using coordinates, all you got to do is just grab them from the listing, and then I'll shoot you on over. We're going to plug them into your mapping system. It'll shoot you over to the property. Really, really simple to get out there. Alternatively, if you're not in the area, one thing that I always do recommend is grab the coordinates, pop it into Google Earth, and that'll allow you to kind of get a really good perspective on how the property sits, looking at the topography. Even if you're not within driving distance to get to the property, maybe you're making a purchase out of state, we always advise, hey, use those coordinates, get a sense of how it sits. Now, this property is totally flat and level. It's about as simple as it gets, but it's one of those things that you want to be mindful for really any property purchase. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to have a link to all the resources down below. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to visit us at thelandpioneer.com. Catch you guys in the next video. Take care.